Hello and welcome to Tech Latest by Nikkei Asia, where we bring you the freshest updates from the technology sector in Asia. Every episode, one of our reporters from the region will be filling us in on the tech news on their radar, from semiconductors in China to space travel in Japan to startups in Indonesia. From Nikkei Asia's Tokyo headquarters, I'm Alice French. In this episode, I'm talking to Ryotaro Sato, one of our Japan correspondents, about Misskey, the decentralized social media platform that has been making waves here in Japan in recent months. Hi, Ryotaro. Thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So you cover tech and startups here in Tokyo, and I've been particularly gripped recently by your coverage of Misskey, a Japanese social networking site that's been generating quite a bit of hype here. For those who might not have heard of Misskey, what is it and how did it start?
So Misskey is the Japanese mini blog service similar to X or formerly Twitter. But one different thing about Misskey is that you have to choose the specific server you want to join before creating an account. There's like around 1,000 servers or community on Misskey at the moment. And with each server focusing on some specific theme or topic, like server dedicated to novels or server that dedicated to metaverses and such like that. And what's surprising is that most servers are funded by an individual and moderated by a sort of a small group of volunteers, unlike X or maybe Facebook or other major social platforms where the big tech company in the United States will do that for you. This gives the Misskey users sort of like a sense of self-governance because they have control over their platform. And in a way, Misskey gained popularity mainly among Japanese creators, music or illustration or manga, that sort of thing, who felt that other big platforms are not so transparent.
I see. So it sounds like a really exciting new platform. And you mentioned Twitter, or X as it's now known. How is the rise of Misskey and other decentralized social networking sites linked to Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter last year? A lot of users have been jumping ship from there, right?
Yeah, you're right. So the famous decentralized service is Mastodon, which is the German-born, one of the biggest decentralized mini blogs out there, which gained popularity right after Elon Musk acquired Twitter, which was, I think it was October last year. Misskey's popularity came a little bit after Mastodon, sometimes after February this year, but it started to experience a huge increase in user numbers. Like every time sort of Twitter introduces new features or make controversial decisions, including introducing paid account Twitter Blue or changing its logo to X from the blue bird. So some users were sort of fed up with the Twitter community constantly changing and sort of moving away from Twitter and moving into Misskey or other services, including Mastodon. But there's a catch because each of the Misskey servers are non-profit, so they can't keep up with the exploding fees which they have to pay for the server rental services, or increase in the workload of a moderation team because as the users goes up, some violations or the task for moderations increase as well. So I talked with the administrator of the biggest server on Misskey, and he said that he was saving money for his new house, but the big chunk of his saving was used up due to rising server fees. And at one time, he really thought he was going to go bankrupt.
Wow, so this rise in demand is really bringing a lot of new challenges for these platforms. How is Misskey planning to tackle this huge increase in users?
For now, they seem to have taken the financial situation under control because many of the online communities have sent donation to keep the project going. But donation might not continue forever. So Misskey.io, which is the biggest server on Misskey, announced recently that they will form a limited company with the project developer, a Japanese developer, joining the company as the one of the directors. So they will keep the decentralized status, but they will try to operate more efficiently, and the company will try to diversify its revenue away from just donations. By such cases, like by selling software that makes it easier to set up new server on Misskey, or selling some sort of merchandise, which I think Mastodon do the same thing as well.
Well, Misskey certainly sounds like a very exciting new character on the social media scene, but it's still difficult to imagine a world where giants like Twitter and Instagram don't dominate the social media space. I mean, Japan, after all, is the world's second biggest Twitter user. So what are experts saying about the prospects for decentralized platforms like Misskey and Mastodon? Could they really be the future?
So I talked to a few analysts about this theme, and for now, it's still hard to imagine that Misskey or Mastodon, for that matter, overtaking Twitter or X. Funding is one of the major reasons. With advertisements, decentralized services or servers coming, because many decentralized services use the same open source software, and it's easy for each decentralized server to connect with each other, which makes it sort of easier for users to move into another decentralized services if they don't share the same sort of developer or maybe on a different brand. So one analyst said to me that even if one decentralized service falters, there could be other services people can use, and one of those could be the next big thing to grow.
I see. So it definitely sounds like we're just at the beginning of this new era of social media, and it'll be really interesting to see how your reporting covers this as it grows. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Yotaro, and I really hope that you will come back on to chat again soon.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
That's all for this episode, but there are many more tech-related stories on our website this week. For example, Vietnam correspondent Lien Hoang recently reported on electric vehicle maker VinFast's plan to list on the Nasdaq this week, making it one of the few Vietnamese companies to go public in the US. And over in Taiwan, reporter Loli Lee is writing about how iPhone assembler Foxconn is aiming to invest several billions of dollars in producing electronic components in India, which Apple is eyeing up as its new smartphone production hub as it tries to become less reliant on China. You can read these stories and much more on Nikkei Asia's website, asia.nikkei.com. And if you like what you hear, why not subscribe to our weekly Tech Asia newsletter, which will be delivered to your inbox every Thursday. There's a link to sign up in the show notes. And check back in next time for more updates on the tech trends that matter.